we have a lot to talk about what unfolded last night with the United States, because this is one of the most significant geopolitical moments we have seen in decades. As of last night, the world woke up to confirmation that the United States carried out a large-scale military action in Venezuela, followed by a press conference this morning addressing the scope and the intent of that operation. The situation is still unfolding at the moment. Information is still coming in. There are multiple narratives and multiple opinions about what happened last night, the impact and the intent of government headed by Donald Trump. So today's video is going to be part one, where we're going to look at the energetic landscape, the power dynamics, and underlying themes surrounding these events using tarot. We're going to be using for today the Madame Clara 5-cent tarot, and we may use some of the 2-penny oracle, the Madame Clara 2-penny oracle as well. We're also going to be sprinkling in some numerology as well. I know you guys like the numerology. You don't want it to be upfront. That's okay. We are going to be gentle with that. Tomorrow, I'm going to drop part 2, where we're going to look at possible trajectories and outcomes, predictions, certainly predictions, and what this means going forward. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell so that you get notified what's going on in the cookie jar. So, and a note for my members, you guys are going to get both of these videos today. As soon as they're done, you'll have the ability to go in there and formulate some opinions. So if you've been thinking about joining my membership, this is a great time to start. We're going to get some breaking psychic news. You guys know I love the breaking psychic news, and don't worry, we're going to be back to the gossip in just a bit. So I will be right back. Welcome to Fortune Cookies Tarot. I'm Annabelle. I'm a tarot practitioner and psychic for over 35 years. This channel is all about intuitive analysis, accountability, and viewer-directed readings about public events, politics, and public figures, celebrities and royals included in that. I try not to sensationalize everything. I don't want people to panic. I don't want to go out on fringe suggestions here. We look at the patterns, the energy, and the underlying things that are happening beneath the headline. So I hope you guys are ready for this. We are going to bring up that card view using just energetic symbology, tarot, possibly oracle. We're going to be doing some cool things. We're going to look at the themes, pressures, motivations, and collective response, especially while the facts are still emerging. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. So let's just start with a touch of Pythagorean numerology. Nothing too heavy. I know you guys don't want too much of it, but I want to frame the energetics that are at play here. So United States is in a #1 energy this year, which is authority, initiation, and unilateral action. Venezuela is a #3 energy, which is fractured narratives, communications, chaos versus expression. So some people are saying that this was an invasion of another country, and some people are saying that this was saving a country that was under a dictatorship. So there are vastly different opinions about this. The energy of Venezuela itself is that it's a fractured narrative. That's what we're looking at. So if the PR in the country, if the narrative that was at hand was that the government was sound, safe, and taking care of the country, that is going to be shattered. If it was that the country is not doing so well and it's under a dictatorship, that too may be fractured. So we're going to look at what's going on there. Leadership figures, we have themes of 7 energy, which is secrecy, isolation, and hidden structure. So that does suggest that we have a bit of not really on the up and up kind of government there. When a strong one energy, and this applies to your personal relationships as well, when a one energy collides with a destabilized three energy and an isolated seven, we often see sudden action, disruption, forced restructuring, overnight undercover explosions and extraction of a sitting president. So we are actually seeing the numerology reflect what happened overnight. So let's get into some tarot. See, I told you guys I was going to keep it really light. We're going to bring up that tarot view and let's make the cards nice and big. Easy, easy, easy. So what is the central energy from the United States toward Venezuela? What is the energy? Is it to help? Is it to hinder? What are we looking at here? 9 of matches. That is definitely revealing what is going on under the current environment. Let's see what the underlying motivations are. Temperance. They're trying to rebalance. The United States is trying to rebalance what is going on with the interactions with Venezuela. They are, with temperance in reverse, destabilizing anything that was stabilized in Venezuela right now. I'm going to let you guys know I'm trying to stay really impartial on this. I'm trying just to work with the energies that are at hand and what's happening, but we are focused on the energy that the United States is exhibiting toward Venezuela. Remember, we are a number one right now. We're number one. I'm not being like that, guys. So energy from the past, we're trying to recreate a covenant with Venezuela. 3 of Cups is about partnership, coming back together with that country. What is up top? The Hierophant. This is a big flex for Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, the United States. That is a big flex, putting ourselves back in as the bully buster of the planet Earth. So we're looking at that right here. What is up front? What are we looking at? 4 of Cups. Don't talk about it, be about it. That's a New Jersey saying. Don't talk about it, be about it. We're not going to say what we're going to do. We're not going to posture. We're not going to threaten. Remember Joe Biden when he was saying, don't. It wasn't about Venezuela, but he said, don't. If you're going to do it, don't. This is about really showing a spectacular show of military force. Truly, one of the things that I did find out this morning is that this was one of the biggest military actions that we have had on behalf of the United States since World War II. 150 aircraft were deployed secretly without the consent of Congress to make this happen. Now, why was this done without the consent of Congress? Because Congress is leaky like a sieve. Anytime they allow information through Congress, it does get leaked out to parties that necessarily did not need to have a part of that. That was something that Marco Rubio revealed this morning in the presser. So we'll look at that. We'll take a look at that because a lot of people do have an issue, much like people have an issue with their tax dollars going toward daycare centers that don't exist in different states. For me in Minnesota, I think a lot of people are going to have an issue with their tax dollars being spent on such an spectacular, and I'm not saying that in a good way, spectacular spectacle of military might. So we are seeing that. What is not being openly discussed? We're going to pull some cards. It's like a facsimile of a Celtic crossbred. So what's not being discussed beyond 7 of Needles, that's 7 of Swords, and the Ace of Buttons, a warning. These are the things that are not being discussed. And this makes me a little bit alarmed here, people. So the Beyond is the 23rd card in the Madame Clara Tarot. So traditional tarot, just a quick brief lesson, has cards from 0 to 21. It exists 22 cards. It is the journey of the soul. Going into the beyond is the 23rd card. Actually, it's the 24th. It's the numbered 23rd card, but it's the 24th card in the Madame Clara. And the beyond is transcending this lifetime and going into the energetics of universe and of source when we get in there. I don't want to get too wiggly and weird with you guys, but this beyond, it transcends what is happening in this moment. This is, and something in me said that this was a pivotal moment. This was the spell casting, if you will. I know I said I was going to try and stick to the news, but this is the spell casting, if you will, of the United States trying to exhibit might, structure, leadership on a world stage and using a very soft and malleable target. I think that Venezuela was seen as a place where we could get in there and take control. I know there's a lot of oil there. We are talking about the oil that is underneath the ground, and that Trump is saying he is going to exploit that resource and he is going to give that money back to Venezuela, the people of Venezuela, the people of Venezuela that have left, and also benefit from it. I mean, there's no way that he can't benefit from it. So, meaning the United States, not Trump personally. So, 7 of Needles. This is a little bit shady, guys. I know, you know, and listen, I support the president. You know, I was not a big fan of Joe Biden. You guys know that if you've been a fan of this channel for any length of time. I just felt that Joe Biden was not the right man for the job. I felt that he was not the correct adversary to deal with Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, the war in Ukraine. I felt he was a very soft president, a very probably well-intended president, but I don't think that he had all of his faculties. I'm going to be honest about that. Here, I think that we've got some other things at play. 7 of Needles. There's stuff that we're not hearing about. And I do think that it's going to be, you know, flexing that military and political might over the world. So I do think that we have some of that here. But I'm not going to judge too harshly on that. I'm just not. I did judge harshly on Biden's war in Ukraine, but I'm not going to judge too harshly on this until we have more information. Again, just looking at the energies that are in play right now. Ace of Buttons, this is reordering that government because it is in reverse. This is a warning. I am wondering if we're going to start looking at some of the other governments that are in adjacent countries that maybe are not as US friendly as we would like them to be. I think perhaps we may see some other changes here. So again, this is just my opinion. This is how I am reading the energy in the cards here. I'm not saying that what we did was the wrong thing, and I'm not saying what we did was the right thing. That is going to be determined. But reminder, tomorrow we are going to look at the possibility and possible outcomes that we're going to see as a result of this. So we'll go a little bit further into the future. But before we continue, I want to give you a little reminder. If you guys want a personal navigation chart through your 2026, I currently have a Tarot Numerology recorded reading available on the Hypsee app. There's a link down below. You can order that. There is a $30 rush fee to get your readings within 2 days. They give us 7 days to do those readings. I am actually going to be turning those around within 2 days without the rush fee. So if you order one today, I will get it out to you by Monday evening. So the pricing also is not going to stay on this numerology and year ahead reading. So it's discounted right now. So if you'd like to get your own, please use the Hypsee app and order one. You'll see it's a numerology and tarot reading. It's right in the menu of things that I have. Or if you feel like being a little bit splurgy, I have some other readings that I can do for you. And I'll get those out as quickly as possible as well. So let's go back into our tarot reading and possibly oracle reading with the Madame Clara 5-penny tarot, 5-cent tarot. It's the 2-penny oracle. is the companion deck for this. And I'll have a link here for both of these decks too. They're available on Etsy through the Motel Gift Shop store. I don't have any affiliation with them, but I love their stuff. They have some great stuff. There's also yes and no coin that you can get in there that I use all the time upstairs. So let's look at structural collapse versus reconstruction. So is this an effort to prop up, is this an effort to diminish enemies and prop the U.S. up as a governing resource there? There in the press conference, they assured us that there was going to be like a transition team in there. I don't know if that's such a great idea. Let's see. The U.S. Queen of Matches, Queen of Buttons. I do think that this is going to be an effort of getting influence into Venezuela without actually taking control of the country. So will we be participating in the restructuring of Venezuela in terms of their politics? Absolutely. That's happening right now. We are affecting that. The United States is affecting that. But it's almost as if we are recreating or creating, not recreating, but creating a government that is going to be more pliable, more consistent with the United States, and therefore an easier asset to negotiate with. I do think that there is going to be some effort to maintain a controlling interest over the oil in Venezuela. So does that mean that we go in there as the leader of the free world? We go in there and help correct possibly a dictatorship government in an effort to give the country back to a democratic vote? I think there is an element of that, but the negotiating tactic is going to have an interest in the products of that country. We are going to maintain the United States, or this is the intent. I'm going to say that the intent is that we maintain some interest in the oil production there, that we have some financial interest in it. So, and I do think it's going to be like a 50-50 thing. Like, we got you out of this dictatorship. We got you out of this dictatorship. Now we're going to take half of your profits. I think that is really what we're looking at. Underneath, we have the emperor down here. And the emperor certainly is controlling from behind the screen. This is very Wizard of Oz energy here. So I do think that there is going to be a very careful construction of the new government with serious power players from the United States that have the United States interests in mind. So these will be Venezuelans. And these are going to be Venezuelans that want to recreate a United States type kind of environment in Venezuela. Does this ultimately work, though? Ace of Matches, the Devil in reverse, and 10 of Needles. I don't think that it actually works. What I think winds up happening is the people of Venezuela, when it comes time to vote, I think they are going to vote for something a bit more in tune with their country's morals, sensibilities, those kinds of things. It's not going to be United States light. It's not going to be like a Puerto Rico or something like that. It's not going to be, and that I don't think is what we're going to yield out of this, or what the Trump administration is going to yield out of it. I think that they wind up having to settle in the next 2, 3, 5 years. We'll have to settle for a government that is growing up in Venezuela and becoming more autonomous after this period under the former leadership. I can say the former leadership now under Maduro's government. So I do think it's going to be a lot of growing pains. And I think in 2, 3 to 5 years, and those are the numbers that are coming up, I'm assuming that it's going to be free will that gets in the way of that. What I do think we will see in that time frame is this government that we're helping turning into like an unruly teenager. Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to come home at 11:30. I want to come home at 2:30 in the morning. I think we're going to see more of that, and some strong leadership that will come up in Venezuela with ideas and leadership strategies that are going to be more in alignment with Venezuelan cultural sensibilities. So I think we're going to see that. What global ripple effects are we going to see? Because we did know that Iran, China, and Russia all were in good talks, I should say, with former President Nicolas Maduro. I always like to give him an N in his name, Manduro. I don't know why, but Maduro. How is this going to affect Iran, China, and Russian relationships with the United States? So up here, Iran, 7 of matches. There's never been a balance with Iran. It's been a long time. I think Iran is going to come in leaning heavily into the inappropriateness of the United States butting their big fat nose into everything. I think that is something that they're going to say, that the efforts to keep Iran down have been excessive. And this is just one more attempt of the United States to disrupt the evolution of Iran as a world power. So I do think we're going to see that. I think Iran's going to have a lot to say about it. I think they are going to cite a lot of scripture or religious information. So, are they going to fall back on the United States is full of sinners and infidels? Probably. I think we're going to see that. They have no business going in there. What can we expect? And I'm going to pull out the 2-penny oracle for this one. Let's see what we got. Digression and disorientation. And this is the reverse of locality. I wonder if we will see some sparks flying here domestically in the US. So, keep your head on a swivel, people. China, let's go over to China. So 3 of buttons for China, 3 of cups for Russia, both in reverse. Now, what are those? Remember when we talk about tarot, ace, 2, and 3 are all in the ethereal. They are all in the concept building, the strategizing of an idea or a situation. With these 3s in reverse, plans have been foiled both for China and for Russia with their relationship within Venezuela, obviously. So what do we have here? Knight of buttons. China, I think, pulls out and does not offer any support. The star is here with Putin and Russia, and that's in the upright. And I think he's willing to wait and negotiate. And I said this to some gals that I'm in a group chat with, and I said, Putin is a capitalist at heart, and he's also a nationalist. He's Russia for Russia. He likes that Trump is a negotiator, and he is willing to negotiate And I think he sets his desires very high when he goes into negotiation so that he has that wiggle room to negotiate. He is not an absolutist where he says, this is what I get, and I'm not going to bend from that. I'm not going to bend until I get blah, 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 all of this stuff. So I think that Putin is willing to go, well, this is just one part of the puzzle, and let's see how this shakes out. Let's see how this is going to work. So let's get a oracle card for China. Presumptuousness and repression. I think that they are restructuring their plans for what Venezuela means to them. Obviously, all of their plans are being shut down right now because the leadership in the country is now detained and in the United States, presumably in the United States. I don't think we know where Maduro and his wife actually are, the former first lady and the former president of Venezuela. What about Houthi? Philoprogenitiveness and parenthood. So these are interesting cards. I really do like this oracle deck, and it works perfectly with Madame Clara's 5 penny tarot. So I think it's interesting that we got parenthood for Russia, because historically the Tsar was known as the little father. That was what the Tsar was. And I do think that Putin looks at himself as a little father of Russia, bringing back Russia for Russians. If you're new to this channel, my grandfather actually emigrated from Russia. So I have some very interest. I have an interest in Russia. Russian history is exciting. It's more exciting than Real Housewives. It's more exciting than 90210, any of the shows. There's never really been a super peaceful part of Russian history. There has been a lot of moving and shaking, and it is a very, very rich cultural heritage. So, I do have a keen interest in the country. I speak Russian. I minored in history. My focus was on Russian history. So I do think that Putin is willing to pivot his strategy in this situation so that he can benefit the most from the circumstances at hand. So do I think that either Russia or China will retaliate against the United States? I don't think so. I think that it will be a war of words. See what we get here for tarot. 6 of matches and the Chariot in reverse. 6 of matches. I think China is very simply like, well, let's figure out what our next thing is going to be. Let's take what we've got, be successful with that. We got this much so far, and we'll just kind of go our own way a little bit. Russia, I think, says, I'm just going to wait and see. We got Chariot in reverse. Now, Iran, I think, is a bit more demonstrative. 10 of buttons. I think they're a bit more demonstrative, and I think that they have a little bit more to say about that. So what does this mean for my fellow Americans? What do I want to say to my fellow Americans? Should you be worried? Should you be excited? Should you be buying, luxury property in Venezuela today? Should you be investing in Venezuela? Should we be doing that? The Hierophant. Fear not, fear not. The Hermit. And the 8 of Needles. Interesting little combination here. Morality, the Hierophant. I do think that we will find out some more information. Take it with a grain of salt. Some of you are going to say, like, maybe this is manufactured information, disinformation, misinformation, wagging the dog kind of stuff. I want you guys to take it with a grain of salt. I am right now really looking to get as much clean information as possible. I don't want to just say, yay, go America, let's drop some bombs someplace else. I really would like to see more of this picture. I did not fully understand the reasons for going in and having the no-fly zone and all of that, but I did think that we had something brewing there. So I'm trying to be as impartial as possible. If you think that I'm not, let me know down below. I'm an American. I'm going to say that I am an American. So, I am going to feel a certain way. I do feel like I need to back up my country when they do things like this. Now, we got the Hermit in reverse, and that is isolation. I think that we are going to see a lot of opinions about how Trump conducted himself. I don't know if this is a Trump only situation. Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, obviously they were voices in the room. They were people that helped make this decision and helped craft this response. Pete Hegseth being the head of the Department of War, new change, new branding. I think that we really have to see more of the picture. And I do think we're going to hear more about it. So let's see. We don't have all of the information, and the world at large does not have all the information. Hermit in reverse means we just don't have all of the details that we need to have to fully understand the situation. So we're just going to have to be a little bit patient. The Eight of Needles in reverse, that is being released from binds that hold us in place. So this, I think, will have an impact on the energy situation that we have in the United States and in the world. It's going to have an impact on it. There's nothing like bringing a real estate developer into a commercial situation and having them exploit it and enrich people. So, I know a lot of Trump's enemies, I'm going to say enemies, a lot of Trump's enemies are going to say, oh, he's making his friends rich. He's making his friends rich. The phrase, the high tide raises all ships, really does apply in commercial and capitalist situations. Millionaires make other people millionaires. Billionaires make other people multimillionaires. And that's something that a lot of people fail to realize. The trickle down economics is something that people always decry and say it doesn't really work. But in the scope of having a commercial business, you are employing people, you are raising them up, you are paying them as long as it's a fair wage. And that is the argument that a lot of anti-capitalists will get into. Well, it's not a fair wage. Well, fair wage is fair wage. We get there. You can raise up. So you could take me to task on that in the comments. You can go ahead and say I'm a terrible person. It's fine. Someone said I was very inauthentic the other day, and I'm still kind of figuring that out. So I do think that Eight of Needles, we are going to see the release of the commercial investment in oil there. I think that is going to be a very interesting thing. So, I think we're going to stop here for today. I think that is as far as I want to go with what the energetics are. Let me know what you think. One of my really good girlfriends is not really happy about the situation. I got to get on the phone with her after I finish these readings. You know who you are. If you know, you know. So, in part 2, we're going to look at where this goes next. We're going to make some more framed out predictions for you, potential timelines, global response, a little bit deeper on that and what the energy suggests about stability versus escalation. We want to see if this is going to escalate. So don't forget, if you're a member, you're going to get early access to that video. So if you want it first, that's where it's going to be. You can go in there. You can become a member just for a day. Totally fine. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you're having a restful and calm weekend. Next week, we're going to be going into my new schedule. So we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of tomorrow's video. So until then, drop your thoughts below. Keep the discussion respectful. This is a channel where I do value everyone's opinion. As long as you come and back it up with facts. I love a good discourse, but I want you to have some facts. I want you to bring the facts that you pulled from your news resources and the information that you have from your experience. So let me also know if you have any questions about anything that I said or discussed today. If you want a personal reading, of course, the Hypsee link is going to be open. Those recorded readings that I talked about midway are going to be discounted, and I'll see you there. I would love to help you out with some of your planning strategy and plotting, whether you are going to drop some bombs on your own personal Venezuela, or if you're going to dethrone your own personal Maduro in your place of business. Let me know, and I will help you achieve those goals through energetic means. So until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and I will see you in the future.